YouTube, what's up? So the keys to your sexuality. Everybody wants that false alleviation of responsibility. And you see a lot of people giving up the keys to their sexuality, just jumping from one person to the next because relationships to people are sexual ownership. So instead of driving their own sexuality and allowing themselves to fully feel things and to take responsibility for what they genuinely enjoy or don't enjoy, they rather give up the keys to their sexuality. So it has everything to do with your attachment and your identity and what you identify as, positive or negative sexuality, or however you want to deem things. When you get caught up in the value system and the yin and yang of things, it's just really just you not driving your own sexuality. And then if you were driving your own sexuality, you could attach and detach at will. You wouldn't get lost in the chemical binding. And for the most part, it just has a lot to do with males. They like to be spiritually decapitated, so they seek to ejaculate. So when you spill the seed, this starts from pride. You feel like you have the illusion of control that you can create at will, which is just fragmenting, what people call having kids. So people feel like that, they have their pride through kids that way. So they stay in the 3D, ultimately recycling until they learn that lesson of pride, or they just want to have temporary pleasure or illusion of pleasure, because what follows an ejaculation is terrible thoughts, low energy. It's never good. It's like poking a hole in your energy body. So it's spiritual decapitation. And then the women that receive that lust energy is corrosive, so it eats away at them. So that is the main reason why people give up their keys, because the sexual ownership, because it has a lot to do with the blood sacrifice that comes with ejaculation. People are giving that off, totally killing their past and their future. That's what the seed is. It's the past and the future, and you just throw it into the wind like that. So it's the ultimate sacrifice for pride, or investment into pride, to just throw away your past and your future like that. And if you identify with your sexual triggers and your traumas, and you give value to sexual ownership, then you'll probably be handing the keys to people, trying to take other people's sexual keys there, so you can keep them in a place. Because as sexual creatures, if you have the key to somebody's sexuality, then you have the key to the root of their energy, in a sense. So if you really, it comes down to, you're not trying to force anything. I'm not telling people to, slower explore and go out there and just be slowers, but at the same time, you want to welcome anything, any possibility. So you don't want to wake up and have an absolute every day and carry on to these absolutes every day. So you just really want to allow yourself to feel and fully feel what you're feeling at this moment, and not to label things, but just to observe the feelings, because they are not you. That's what's flowing through you. So there is no self, so you got to realize at the same time, if you can want something, if something is wantable, that means you can't have it. People want to want. So that's a whole nother bag. It's just, you're just giving the value to desire. It's the happiness of pursuit, or whatever you want to call that. So instead of the pursuit of happiness, whatever. So it's boiling down right now to the sexual ownership that comes down to where the energy is going. And that's what everyone is. That's why, when you step away from someone or stop contacting them, they contact you as soon as you feel like you've gotten past them, because the energy shifted, and they're emotional vampires. So you're going from eating flesh to eating emotions to living off your own chi. That's pretty much the gradual process to what people call breatharianism, or to full alchemy mode. So the only way to really get to the level of realizing is to totally accept the shadow, accept the demon. So the shadow is going to let you know what not to do. So when you know your shadow or your demon, what people call the subconscious or the body, when you know that, then you can identify another people, and you just know what not to do, and you just know what's what. So that's what that's there for. what people are calling evil or temptation. Like, that is there to let you know what not to do. That's why it's such a great gift. It's the only guidance you really have. So you have to let go of what isn't you, because you have no self. To live selfless is the ticket. So if you let go of what isn't you, then you'll never be subject to other people's value systems. You'll never be subject to the hoops that people want you to jump through and all these different things. Because if you don't compete, then no one can compete with you. You just have to be the best you by exhibiting free won't, doing not doing, accepting what you shouldn't do, realizing what you shouldn't do, and realizing what is what and what isn't what, however you want to look at that. So, because it's the paradox of people being medicine. People show you your sickness by showing you their sickness. So when you observe their sickness, they're really showing you yours. So in that sense, people are medicine by showing you their sickness. So you just, when it comes to anything, sexuality or otherwise too, if it doesn't work smoothly, it's not going to work when you try to do it hard, because the soft always overtakes the hard, like water pounding a stone. It's going to overtake it over time. So I had to run through those one-liners because I don't know how much space I have on my phone. So back to the keys to your sexuality. If you're giving that up and you're identifying, I know a lot of people have negative connotations attached to sexuality because they want to create a sense of separation. If someone hurt you and then you look at sex as an evil thing or a demonic thing because you don't want to be associated with them and you want to create a separation from them, then you will always put that buffer there. You always keep that buffer, like, I'm not that type of person. I'm not the type of person that values sex like this, because I'm not that way and I'm creating separation from them. Then instead of accepting that everything you go through is a reflection and an echo, so you want to create that separation, that righteousness or that pride there. So when you're doing that, then you get caught up, whenever you get caught up in the illusion of pride is pain. Whenever you are prideful, you are in pain. You're compensating. Passion or pride, the same thing. Whenever you compensate like that and replace that void that you feel, like as if someone is taking something from you, something that you're forgetting, that has always been there, but you forgot that it's there, and then because you feel like someone took it from you, and then you replace that void with pride, and that is just to cover or coat the pain that is deep down. So if someone takes something from you, if you get emasculated or cheated on and you feel like these ways, and then you have these connotations and associations with sex and sexuality in general, then you put the walls up because you want to create a hierarchy in a sense where you're not those type of people, where you don't also have a demon too, like a daemon, what you want to call the body, which is God in 3D. So that is that sense of separation that comes from pride, that comes from the people that were supposedly hurt, that are playing the victim. Evolution is letting go of all victimhood. Evolution requires that you have to let go of all the victimhood, and you have to have your own keys to drive all the facets of you, instead of leaving those things open so that you can have this false illusion of alleviating responsibility. It's just like if you drink or take in substances or substances that put you in a substance. Instead of having substance, you're ingesting substance. And if you take things in, something has to go from inside of you. Something has to leave if you take things in. So you get mixed up, and then everything is mixed up, and you lose yourself in that whole hodgepodge, because now your alchemy is all thrown off, and now you're playing the compensation game. You're constantly trying to cover up, constantly trying to recover, instead of really fully healing, and just allowing, because you want to give up this responsibility that you can never give up. So when you take in a substance, you're being prideful in a sense that where you feel like you can control your reality. And then on the other end of the coin, you are trying to be emotional, because every time you're emotional as an infant, you were taken care of. So you want to be sent back into that emotional state so that you can be taken care of. And people continually do this until they have a machine breathing for them, or they have someone else taking care of them, because they want to give up this responsibility of being immortal.